Welcome to the Neighborhood Pulse with Kevin Callback. The Neighborhood Pulse. You know, wherever you are in life, you never forget the neighborhood. This is the show that talks to real estate professionals all about the real estate business and how to maximize your career. Join host Kevin Callback from Realty Executive Cornerstone to learn what the Neighborhood Pulse is. Sweet home, Chicago. Hey. I got to let it play out. There, I faded out. There it is.
There you go.
Welcome in. Of course, today, don't be part of the 10% exodus.
Yeah, baby. I'll tell you, everybody right now is just across the globe is watching what's going on, what's happening. Whatever happens I heard a saying the other day, which kind of interesting, is when United States sneezes, the rest of the world gets a cold. It's somewhat true, right? So there's resources that we use, and even in real estate that affects things, and where people are coming from, where they're going to, all that stuff. And as interest rates, I think they went up recently. Is that true? You have an
MLS So the prime rate, of course, jumped here in America.
Right. A lot of questions about that, by the way.
3/4. But I got a neat text from a realtor talking about that. Mr. Kevin Callback for our community agent. But that doesn't really affect the mortgage rates, right? Credit cards, absolutely.
Right.
Personal loans, things
Absolutely.
like that. Home equity lines of credit, absolutely. Right.
Yeah.
Anything that is what I would call revolving, going to hurt you.
There you go.
Yeah.
Yep.
But mortgage rates are based more on the 10-year yield curve and things of that nature, and the validity of what the market does. So since actually they went down a little when the 3/4 point was, because they had anticipated that, they being the brains and the people who moved the money, knew that was coming.
Right.
But then they went back up because Chairman Powell said, make no mistake, we're not done.
That's right.
We may not do it at the same pace, but we're not done. So
Right.
then the markets go, whoops.
Yeah.
And now the rates bounce. So again, of course, Kent Jones with
McHenry Savings Bank,
MSB,
MLS number
1258805 is 30 years going to be about that 7.5, 7.25 area,
right?
For good credit.
Absolutely.
So, and it's just sitting there bobbing up and down, maybe 1/8 to 1/4.
Right.
And
that's hard for people to understand when you talk about the rate. The interest rate went up by the feds, but it didn't affect the housing interest rates. I mean, it does, but not necessarily, right? It's not a direct impact. Now, when they say give news like, hey, these are going up again soon, and we're thinking maybe even this year yet. So we're talking maybe December's, whatever.
There's planning maybe another 1/4 point.
Right.
So I think right now we're at 7. Prime rate is at 7. We haven't seen that. Watch out. We haven't seen that in the since around 2000, 2001.
Right. So as interest rates are going up, people can afford less, and so people say, well, where's the market at? Well, it depends what you're doing. Buying, selling, investing, everything's relative. It's all different, because there's different products available to different people. Yeah. Last time we talked about a 10-1 ARM, lock in at a lower rate, maybe 1.25% less than what it currently is. Lock that in for 10 years. After 10 years, or during that 10 years, you can refi if rates get better.
And as we say here, right, you marry the house, you date the rate.
That's it. That saying is global. I've heard that a bazillion times this week, and I'm like, oh, stop.
There it is again.
There it is again. So whoever created that, they should copyright it.
Yeah, that's great.
That's great.
Make a tattoo out of it.
I survived the interest rate hikes of 2022.
Yeah.
How about that?
Truthfully, here's what I tell people is you need a place to live. And right now, because of the way of the world, owning a house is still just as affordable, if not more affordable than renting, because rents have gone up. And that's what we're not talking about a lot.
Right. Rents are crazy high. It's it's unfortunate. And you know, governments of all sizes are trying to figure out, for people that don't make a whole lot of money, where do they live and how do they afford it, right? Because they're, you know, you don't want to give handouts, and these people are working hard. There's not making enough money to pay these crazy rents and interest rates and prices, and just everything has kind of ballooned into this. Wow, is there, you know, the middle class has now become the low class, and I don't even know if there's a super rich class anymore. Does that? I'm sure it exists. I'm sure they're fine. They'll be okay. I think they'll be okay. But hey, you know what? They're not scrimping. But
that's right.
What are you going to do? But you know, as we look at a lot of the news, you know, I mentioned on the show a number of times, I look at Inman's, I look at Breakthrough Broker, I look at Forward Coaching for the headlines in the news. First time buyers, first time home buyers are at the lowest rate since 1981. That's 40-year difference, right? 41.
Yeah.
So that's a little bit head scratching, right? You go, oh my goodness, what happened here, right? So a lot of people bought. I mean, realtors were the busiest they've ever been in 2022, and I think we can all face it. Hey, if you weren't selling houses, you were sleeping or sick, one or the other. But so with that being said, I think a lot of first-time home buyers found a home. I think there's still a large unsatisfied group, but with those being down, I kind of understand it. You know, interest rates are up. You know, I don't know. I know some people that are living with their folks, you know, looking to find a house. So they're banking that money. So in the future, they'll be fine. We are talking to them about different programs that you and the other lenders have to offer, you know, the ARMs and such.
Yeah. Well, I think it's important. If you haven't, I think it's important that you should. Get with somebody who's knows a little bit about finance, debt, and things of that nature. Not for loans, but to your point, if you're living with your parents, you know, and Dave Ramsey's a good guy, understands a lot of what's going on too. Is, you know, still act like you're paying rent, but pay it to yourself.
Right.
You know, to take that $500,000 a month and stick it in an account or an envelope or whatever.
Right.
And then that becomes your down payment.
Right.
You know, for that. So many people, well, I'm living with my folks, so I went out and bought a new car.
There you go. That's right.
You know, could have had a V8.
That's right. Could have V8. Yeah, save your money for sure. You know, because and even if nothing else, you can get a better rate with better down payment, with better credit, pay off your debt, become debt free. I mean, if you can be debt free, have no credit cards, no car payment, when you go to buy a house, you're going to be much more happy. That's for sure. You're not going to have that money crunch that causes a lot of stress in life. So Mr. Cooper, I'm sure you're familiar with Mr. Cooper. Yeah. He's a lender. I think was he Nation Star before?
Yeah.
Or something like that.
Yep.
So they own Nation Star. Their predictions are not the predictions. What has happened, and I just clicked off that because I don't remember the line, is they laid off affecting 800 workers. That's their third round of layoffs. And that's affecting 800 workers. That's a ton. Yeah, that's a ton. Now, they do a good business. They really
service
busy.
A lot.
They service a lot of loans. Exactly. They buy them, right? They buy loans as well.
Yeah, they'll lend. They've got some lending capability, but they also will buy a lot of, you know. So somebody like a Guaranteed Rate or something will sell those to Mr. Cooper to service.
Yeah, absolutely. So they're laying off people, and a lot of that. You know, when they talk about different companies that are kind of, you know, they're not making as much and they're laying people off and stuff, is the refi boom is over, right? That's a majority of the folks that are gone, and the in-house purchases right now are down a little bit, I would say. So if you look at that, and the number of listings in our local area, from what my research is down as well. You know, so number of new listings, but we are first week of November, going into Thanksgiving and Christmas. So we're going into Thanksgiving and Christmas. That means the holidays. And I think everybody's waiting until at least Tuesday for the election, November 8th. November 8th is the election. Don't forget to vote. Vote no for Amendment 1 here in our area. And I won't advertise anybody else at this moment, but maybe later. You never know.
Yeah. If you don't like the way things are going, then this is the time to go out and help get, you know.
Yep. Knock
Support
doors, educate. Get out there. Post on your Facebook, post wherever. And I know that's scary, especially if you're in business. If you start posting stuff on your Facebook, it can be kind of goofy.
Yeah.
So people take that stuff serious. And so it's kind of crazy. So we're seeing a lot of companies right now downsizing and shifting.
Mhm.
And the title of the show today is "Don't Be Part of That 10% Exodus." And a 10% exodus is where people I've talked to in different arenas have said that 5 to 10% of the current realtors will kind of fall off over the next 6 to 12 months.
Is that typical? Because a lot of people are, retirement age now, right? So
Yeah.
a lot of the realtors out there are boomers.
Mhm.
It's
Oh, yeah.
retirement age, so I want to leave now. It's a good time.
Sure.
I don't want to have to hustle so much, perhaps.
So there's always a fluctuation,
Mhm.
right? But it always stays about even. People coming in, people going
Yeah.
out, and we've grown our numbers over the years. We're right now at 1.6 million realtors, and as of October, this is fresh data here.
Yeah.
I'll tell you, we don't mess around. We can't find it, but when we do, it's really good.
Yeah,
Yep, it's
it
true.
is good data.
It is really good data. So monthly membership for National Association of Realtors here, and you look this up on the internet. It's not a secret. The grand total right now is 1.6,886 members. From last year, this time, October 31st, 2021, was 1.559537.
So it grew.
So it grew. We grew by
A little bit.
a bunch, right? Math is not my favorite
Right.
today, so I apologize. But so we grew over the last year, and I
Yeah.
think a lot of people were getting in because the market was hot and things were selling,
Mhm.
and it's a great career. I mean, I don't care where we're at in the industry. It's always a good time to get into real
Yeah.
estate.
Yeah.
I think it's a good opportunity. Just if nothing else, get education, get in front of people, start talking to your sphere. Don't be part of that 10% exodus. So as we look at some of these headlines that sound very scary, I think you can explain some of them away. I think there's Mr. Cooper laid off 800 workers, third round of layoffs.
Mhm.
Well, they do a lot of refinancing. They do purchasing of loans and stuff like that. So their business model may be changing, and a number of first-time home buyers is down to the lowest number since 1981. So as we look at that, those headlines make sense, but I don't think it's anything to be scared of if you're back to the
Right.
basics, right?
Right.
So if you're with a brokerage, you start out in real estate. We've talked about this a couple of weeks. We talked to Roger, we talked to Jordan, we talked to some different folks. When you get into real estate, it's not a business. I mean, it's not a business. It's not a job. You don't get a paycheck. So you have to learn the basics. The best thing you can do for yourself is figure out who your sphere is and write it down,
Mhm.
put it in a database, a spreadsheet, whatever, and start contacting those people. And that's where the basics.
That's any sales, but you want to sell RVs, you want to sell boats, you want to sell cars, they're going to ask you to do the same thing.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. We're going to ask you to make a lot of phone calls.
Yeah.
So your phone becomes your best friend. Conversational is what we're going to try and get you to be. So if you're a hermit and you don't like talking, we're going to help you break that.
Yeah.
We're going to help you see the need.
I suppose a good thing to probably do is, if you're new, is take a look and how social are you? Do you hang out at your house a lot?
Right.
Or are you involved in a lot of community activities? Are
Right.
you around people all the time?
Yeah. You got kids in sports, you got
Right.
PTA meetings, you got
These would be key indicators, right? So I don't to not be part of that 10% exodus would be, okay, maybe I rearrange the way that I work. I know a lot of good realtors who bartend.
absolutely.
Right.
There's a couple here, the waitress. They're right
Yeah.
over here at the Texas Roadhouse, right?
Yeah.
Steakhouse.
Yeah. Not because they need the money, but it allows them to have more conversations with people.
Absolutely.
So it's just a different marketing concept, I guess, for your
Right.
business.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Then now, of course, the tax-free cash doesn't hurt, but on tips.
Tips. I don't
Doesn't
know anything
hurt.
about that.
Right.
I don't know anything about that.
You know, but
every server I know pays taxes on every penny they earn.
yeah, that's right.
That's right.
Absolutely.
Just so you know.
But you know what I'm saying
Right.
is,
No, I hear you.
is if you were not a social butterfly, perhaps if I
Right.
can
And
say
most
that,
people are not.
right,
Right.
right, stick to myself. Well, then your sphere isn't that big.
Right. Yep.
Um,
And that's absolutely.
But one of the best books out there to help people not be that 10% exodus is by Bob Berg. Now, Bob Berg, you're going to recognize that name. He's the author of The Go Giver.
Yep. Absolutely.
But his first book is The Never Ending Referral System.
Yeah. Yep. Absolutely.
And what he says is that everybody that you know in that sphere that you're talking about has a web of 250 people,
give or take.
Yeah, right. So it's like that Kevin Bacon, six degrees of Kevin Bacon.
Right.
So if you take somebody in your sphere, they know they can web out 250 people.
I refer that to like LinkedIn. You know, like when you join LinkedIn, it says you know this many people in their third generation and fourth generation people that you know. It's like you know this guy who knows this guy who knows this guy.
Yeah.
So when that guy sent you a friend request, you're like, okay, so maybe it came this way, right?
Yeah.
So there's a lot of that. And the other thing is ask for it, right? I went to an appointment last night. Paul, we talked to him about a little earlier today, and he's like, give me some of your cards. He says, I want to give them out and this and that. And his wife is there. She's like, oh my gosh, why didn't we tell him to this guy and that guy? He's like, oh yeah, I don't know. So it's not, you got to see that top of mind.
That's right.
Kathy, I won't say the last name, sorry. Kathy just sent me a text message. Hey, stranger. I'm like, stranger? I just talked to you like 2 months ago, but stranger could be something like that. So stay top of mind.
Yeah.
So stay top of mind, whether you're in Facebook, just social media is so affordable, right?
Right.
Everybody's got it. Get in it, do it.
$5, you can boost it.
Yeah,
whatever,
you can boost it. Videos. Oh my gosh, do videos.
Yeah.
And do it on your Instagram. I guess Instagram Reels. I obviously not a social media guy because I'm just finding out that there's Reels on Instagram. Probably something been around for years, but you need to look at those as well. So you need to look at those social media and stay top of mind.
Yeah.
I go to a lot of events and do a lot of different things, but when I'm not doing real estate, I'm pretty much a homebody. Believe it or not, people are like, "Oh no, I don't believe that." That's true. Huh. I'm not a big fan of going on just hanging out at the bar, watching the game or whatever. I'm like, I'll be at home. I got stuff to do, got people to talk to, right? You got to call Kathy, of course. Hi, Kathy.
Thanks for tuning in, Kathy.
Thanks for tuning in. Good to see you. That's
right.
And I know Cheyenne, she's working hard at the office today. I think she's tuning in today as well. So hi, Cheyenne. Hope all is well.
So why don't we want to be part of the 10% exodus?
Well, because if you're part of the 10% exodus, you cannot help people achieve their biggest dreams. That's the key.
Yeah.
So a lot of people come into the business. Any job you take, I guess, is based. You need to make money. Nobody does it for free. Well, some people do it for free, but we need to make money. We need to survive, right? Yeah. And what better way to survive than helping people achieve those biggest dreams? And we've helped how many people just get out of trouble?
Yeah,
they're just like, I can't afford this payment. I'm here. I'm this. And we either downsize them or we find a way to refi or streamline them or do something to help them with those issues. And so it's really about helping folks.
So when you, what is your budget as a realtor? What's your monthly? What's your monthly budget? Yeah, so
$12.50.
So we can get it's. I guess it's easy to say. I'm trying to figure out how to form this the right way. That's why I'm stumbling over my words.
Business plan, right?
Yeah, but not just a business plan. There has to be. You have to be financially savvy to say, okay. Here's my intake, here's my outgo. How do I make this work?
Right. Absolutely.
So when you take a look at that, what when you were new, what
Mhm.
what was your what was your budget for that? What did it look like?
That's a good question, right? That is actually so. People that are in real estate now, and you're just getting in. We talked about this with Roger. That you are starting your own business.
Yeah,
So if you own a hot dog stand or a bar or a restaurant, a
radio
tire
station.
shop,
Yeah,
a radio station,
Yeah.
There's expenses. You need a building, maybe
Yeah.
you need a hot dog cart, maybe you need a wheel removal,
Insurance.
you need insurance, you need lights, electric, etc. Maybe you can work from home, depending on what you can do, what you're doing. And real estate is affordable that way, as you can work from home. You have to have the internet, you have to have a phone, you have to have hopefully an unlimited plan, because I don't think, do they offer non-limited?
I don't know anymore.
Used to be a thing. So back in the day, it was
minutes.
a thing.
Don't use up all your minutes.
Yeah, you gotta have your bag phone like I used to have. Carry your phone around in a bag and you open it up and talk on there, or the brick. But
Brick.
so you have to have some money coming in, and if you don't have money coming in, that's okay, because a lot of people keep a side gig. So either they work full time and they do real estate part time, or they do part time work and part time real estate, or maybe they do both full time. So it depends on your availability. So your budget is going to look like one, if you have any office fees, you're going to have your board fees, you're going to have your MLS fees, you're going to have your National Association Realtor fees, and then you're going to have a continuing education. And we require our buyer's agents to get the designation ABR through the National Association of Realtors, because I think it's great information that new agents need when they're working with buyers. So a budget can look anything like $500 a month, probably minimum, to thousands of dollars a month. You can buy leads, you can get leads that come in and you pay them on the back end. And sometimes those are harder to get into because you have to be established. So it depends. When you pick a broker, you have to hold your license with a broker. When you're holding with a broker, you got to find out what they offer. Are they offering education? Are they offering leads? Are they offering space in the office to sit there? And if they do, and there's people coming to the office, I absolutely recommend going to the office, because you're going to hear conversations. You're going to hear people talking with clients. And that is invaluable. Is that the right word? Invaluable, where you're not going to pick that up from a textbook. You're not going to pick that up from talking to somebody on the street. Is you're going to hear those conversations that are really happening in situations that, could be good or bad. They could be talking through a problem. They could be celebrating a victory. And it's good to know how they handle both victories and problems, right?
Yeah.
So
and I used to never want to be in the office as a lender.
Yeah.
But I've learned that the people in the office have different lenses. So they see my, oh my gosh, here's the deal. I just got off the phone with the borrower ABC, and they're like, oh, EFG that thing, and away you go. And you're like, oh, I was stuck in ABC,
right?
I didn't even think of EFG.
Yeah, that's it. It's kind of crazy. It's and the thing is, if you're in the office and I'm working and a lead comes in, I'm talking to somebody, I'm like, man, I just don't have time to show this guy today. And you're sitting across the desk from me, like, hold on a second. Hey, you got time to show a guy a house today?
Right.
And if you do, there's a number of ways to handle that, with either a referral or a payment for a showing or whatever the case is. And it all gets paid through the brokerage, right?
I had the opportunity to spend about 3 hours with a gentleman. He's actually, he was a very, very successful commercial lender. So he did a lot of commercial deals. Some of his clients, you may have heard of them, 3M, GE.
Yeah, right.
Right. So this guy, amazing. He's now a professor for DePaul.
Wow.
Right. Young guy.
Yeah.
When I say young guy, late 50s. Right?
Mm-hmm.
And I had the opportunity to just sit and listen, and it was amazing. And I just scribbled notes and asked a couple questions. And one of my keys to success is to learn from greatness.
Absolutely.
Right? If you don't want to be part of that 10% exodus, if you go into the office
Right.
Greatness is not necessarily the Michael Jordan or the GOAT, right? The greatest of all time. But here's a guy who's mega successful at that, so successful, in fact, that, you know, a major university says, hey, we want you to come and be a professor in this area.
Right.
That's what you miss by being
At home.
Yeah. Or quote unquote remote, or whatever the case may be.
Sure.
And you have to look for that nugget every time, Kevin. You have to be he doesn't do what I do,
right?
But he's successful.
Absolutely.
So there was something so I said, when I went into this, I said, here's the two things I want to grab. Right.
Absolutely.
And one of the cool things that he said was, with every meeting, you want to leave with an ask.
There you go. That's true.
And I had never heard that before. Yeah. If I had, it didn't register. Right. But I'm like, never leave without an ask. So your last thing isn't, hey, have a great day, we'll see you again.
Yep.
You lay a question on them, and then that's how you leave. And it gets them thinking.
That's right. That's exactly right.
I was just blown away.
Yeah.
And a lot of times my approach is always, I don't want to be high pressure. So I want to give you as much information as I possibly can so that you can make a good decision. Right. And if you call me back, wonderful. If you decide to go with me, great. Because I'm not going to sell you like a car salesman. But now I've looked at my approach now over the last 2 days, and I'm like, what if I were to just say this?
Yeah.
And and you leave them with an ask.
Absolutely. You should always leave, and you should always have any piece you put out there, you should have a call to action. You should always have a call to action. And a lot of people miss that. They send out the information, and there's nothing like, call me, call today, reach out, click here, something. It needs to happen. But surrounding yourself with greatness is probably the biggest and bestest thing you can do, because greatness, if they're open-minded and they want you to succeed, they will help. They'll help. And you have to have that ask. You have to be like, hey, I'm new. Can I watch you? Can I just kind of see what you do? Can you mentor me? Yeah. And there are mentors out there, you know, so that's really one of the most important things you have to look at too is, are you at the right brokerage? Are you surrounded with success? Mm-hmm. Are they excited about your success? Are they invested in you? Are they, you know, what are you getting out of that brokerage? If you're just showing up one day and they're like, here, call these numbers and that's it, you missed it. You probably, well, I'm not going to say you're at the wrong brokerage, but you're not at the right one.
Right. You know, one of my, I'm opening up my
your journal.
These are my goals that I wrote down at the beginning, you know, the end of last year, right around this time. You know, one of the things I had, meet monthly with someone who does what I do so I can learn different things.
Yep.
And I've done that.
Absolutely.
You know, I've sat with Brian Schmidt. I've sat with other lenders, Lori Pittner.
Right.
You know, just a ton of people that I've met. You know, and just tried to, let's just chat. Tell me, you know, you've been doing this for 40 years. Tell me about this, Jim.
Yeah.
You know?
Right.
And some of the things you sit there and go, well, that was great. That worked in the 80s. Fantastic. Right. Shit ain't going to work now.
Nope. That's true. Yeah. When I started, I did this. You're like, oh.
Right. You know. Yeah. But sometimes what's old is new. But there's always something you can take away from somebody who has done it and done it well.
Yep. Done it well. That's the thing.
If you've been in this business for as long as you have, 20 plus years, going on 30 years, you know how to do it. Otherwise you wouldn't be doing it anymore.
Right. That's right. We would retire. Right? But it is the best job ever. And you need to surround yourself with success. Document your time, you know, see what you're doing throughout the day. If you're working from home and you're remote and you're like, well, at 10:15, and monitor every 15 minutes, set a little timer on your watch, your clock, and every 15 minutes, if you want to do 30 minutes, you can, and write down what you accomplished that last 15 to 30 minutes, and do that 2-3 days and be legitimate in doing so. And I think you're going to find out that if you focus better, or more,
Yeah.
and have goals written down of what you want to accomplish for the day, I think you're going to be more successful. I think you're going to be you'll need to spend less time in your business in working on your business, and you'll be in your business, right? So you have to do both.
Yeah, and another thing, tell me about your, I guess some people will call it scalability, right? So some people will say, you have to track numbers, you got to make sure that it works, you got to be able to scale it to see where this is at.
Sure.
Do you do that? Do you look at, okay, here I farmed this area.
Right.
We've talked about farming here on the show.
Yep.
And this is what I did. Do you keep very specific? Okay, here's what I did. Here's what I sent out. Here was the return on that.
Right. Not as good as I should. Right.
Yeah.
So, but we have started tracking that quite a bit. And this has been the year of, we've spent these dollars. What dollars came back?
Yeah.
And if no money came back, why?
Yeah.
Because we know farming works. We know it's effective. Being in front of them a certain amount of time, you're bound to hit something. There's postcard companies out there that guarantee if you do this with us for this many months, that if you don't get 3 closings out of that, well, your postcards are free. We'll give you a refund on everything.
Wow.
So we're using them currently.
Yeah.
Right. So, and it does work. So we know that their messages are good. The postcards are great and stuff, but you do need to monitor exactly what you're doing and what's coming back. And if it's nothing's coming back, you got to figure out what the problem is. Either one, it's just you're not doing it right, or it's something that's just not that effective.
Yeah.
And you have to do your research before you start, because as you look at that scalability and you look at the information, you have to look at farm this neighborhood. You want to make sure that year after year, you're seeing a 5% turnover rate or higher.
Yeah.
Because sometimes on the water, you'll see these homes, they sell once every blue moon. You're like, well, is that a good place to spend a lot of money farming for years?
Right.
It's tough. And there's a lot of agents that like to work that waterfront. So then you got to look at your competition. What agents are working this area in addition to myself? Right. And if it's a big heavy hitter that's been there for years, maybe you want to pick a different farm.
Right.
Because it's going to be hard to blast them out of the water, right? Roger is a realtor, lives down the block from him. He's like, should I farm my neighborhood? So, oh, you get anything in the mail from her? He's like, no, once I think I got something. It's like, absolutely start farming it.
That's right.
So it's now it's your neighborhood.
Yeah.
You own this. So we're pouring money into that neighborhood to shake it up. Great neighborhood, great turnover rate. Houses are beautiful, either affordable. It's just the right fit for him too. I mean, it's just perfect. So we're excited.
Yeah. And I think that's when you get to the point where it's not working, you're focused too much perhaps on the income,
right?
And instead of working the business. Sure. And the 10% of the people who are going to bounce here in the next few months of this exodus are probably the ones that, well, I didn't get a set. 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 Right. And, and we'll get frustrated, but I don't think they're scaling or tracking or saying, okay, man, my mentor said I need to make 150 calls a day and I haven't.
Right.
I don't know. Maybe I'm just making up a number.
So that's just it. As we say, what does your brokerage offer? What are they having you do?
Yeah.
And how are you accomplishing that? And monitor your time. Get that. If you need a calendar, we got a time tracking calendar. We also have a tasks list. Kind of grade yourself on different areas. Am I good at talking on the phone? Am I good at working the computer? Am I good at this and that? So a skills assessment, take that as well. But monitor what you do every day for 2-3 days just to get a feel of really what you're accomplishing.
Yeah.
Because I think when you're working, you wind up getting caught up in conversation or playing a game or text messaging, whatever.
So when you own your own business, when you're in real estate or you're in lending for real estate, take a look at your home. Okay, so whether it's a house you own or you rent, if you don't make your bed, it doesn't get made that day. if you don't take the garbage out, it doesn't get taken out.
Do you not have a wife and kids?
If you,
What's going on here?
well, and I'm
Kidding. No hate mail,
and
please.
I'm glad that you said that, because it tends to me in my business anyway, that new lenders go, I thought you were going to do that. I thought the processor was, I thought the underwriter,
Yeah.
right?
Right.
Well, if you don't wash your clothes, they're not going to get washed, or
Right.
you have to pay somebody to wash them.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
And I'm just going to ask you, in your task job, in your day-to-day routine of being a lender, did you hire somebody to come in and clean did you hire a maid service, a cleaning service to come in and clean your house?
Yep.
And if the answer is no, then you can't wait for me or the processor or the underwriter or somebody else to do it. This is your responsibility.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so there are things that you have to do on a daily basis. If you don't open up your store every day, nobody can come in.
Yep, that's true. That's true.
And I think it's as easy as right now, a lot of people. We had a conversation with Pam Altoff the other day.
Oh yeah,
the other
yeah.
night,
Yep.
you and I did.
Absolutely.
And the former senator, and now she's on the McHenry County Board.
Right.
And she was asking us about a certain age group, and,
Yeah.
I can't figure that out.
Right.
And I think, as I thought about that, and now with what you're saying, and 10% of realtors bouncing out, which of 1.6 million, that's 160,000.
That's a ton.
That's a lot.
Ton. Yeah.
Right.
That's huge.
I think they don't make their bed every day.
They probably don't.
Right.
And that's the key. Or they haven't given enough time.
Right.
Because it's not a quick process to become selling a lot of homes right away. Right. So you have to have time and discipline will equal success.
Yeah.
And you have to know what's in your pipeline, things that you're working on that are coming into the system, what's in your pipeline that's getting ready to close, and then what's closed, and are you keeping in contact with those folks? Those are the most important. If you go into the office and you're listening, that's huge. But don't get caught up in the gossip. Like people, oh yeah, well, did you hear this? We're talking about movies or whatever. You're not there for that. You're there to work. Small talk, relationships, absolutely.
All day long.
Talk, but try not to make that a big part of your day.
Mm-hmm.
Don't stand by what they used to call the water cooler and do the gossiping, right? So discipline, time track, absolutely know what you're doing every minute of every day, and then do it. And if you have to move it, you should time block for phone calls every day, 2 to 3 hours minimum. And if for some reason you can't do it there, don't say, well, I didn't get to it today, I'll get it next time. Move it later in the day, move it to the next day, add it on to another 3 hours, do 6 hours in a row, but do not miss or skip that. That is going to be your bread and butter. And that's the key.
The other is so I've gone through some training with Zenix. They're out of Atlanta, Georgia. Very good company for lenders. Great training. And they talk about time blocking. So I set up my calendar and I time blocked.
Absolutely.
Okay, hey, here to here, here to here, here to here.
Yep.
And as I'm preparing my business plan for 2023 right now, I'm taking a look at the time block there, Kevin, and I'm like, well, these time blocks don't even make sense to me now.
Right.
Right.
You have to adjust them. Yeah.
And
the business changes.
And what they're called and whatnot. What I didn't have was anything time blocked for marketing.
Oh yeah. You got to market.
Okay.
Sure. Yeah.
I had time block. I call it 5 by 10, where by 10 o'clock, I want to reach out to 5 people and send them something, make one of those touches with people I'm either trying to get to be their lender or to work with cooperatively, whether it's an attorney, a realtor, whatever. So I call that 5 by 10. So I want to touch 5 people by 10 o'clock every morning. Then I had a time block in there that was projects and administration. And it didn't make sense. It was always there. But it was something I had in there time blocked, but I never paid attention to it because it didn't mean anything to me.
Right.
Made sense when I did it
Sure.
last year this time.
Yep.
I'm a time block of because I'm the head of the department, but I'm like, yeah, projects administration.
Right.
I don't even know what that
Right.
means. Now that I look at it, I go, what was I thinking?
Right.
And then I've got pipeline work,
Sure.
things of that nature, but nowhere. And then I even had, referral activities or
Yep.
networking activities, I guess I called it.
Yep.
Time blocked out on certain days. But nowhere did I have marketing. And I sit here and I go, ugh,
Right.
how did I go all year without spending an hour a day social media marketing, picking up the phone marketing, designing.
There's so many things you can do. Yeah, marketing is such a broad.
Yeah,
I think that's people get scared of marketing because
Yeah.
they start getting into it, and they want to go on Facebook, and then they got to make a video, and they got to go make this phone call, and then they're going to make a postcard, and it just becomes so overwhelming, right?
Yeah.
And so
and now I'm at a place where we're doing good, and I would like to add 2 new lenders. Well, why wasn't I marketing for 2 lenders all year?
Right. Yeah.
It
looks like there's going to be some people available.
Yeah. and so I was just like, oh. So even though you time block, it's got to make sense to you.
Right.
Otherwise,
absolutely. Right. And you have to know you're going to do it. I mean, if you're not going to make phone calls, just be part of the exodus, because if you're not making phone calls, you can't survive. I don't think. Maybe you could with Facebook or something. I don't know, but
it's a unique person.
It's a unique person, sure. So as we talk about not being part of that 10% of the exodus, is get up early during the day. Don't stay up late watching videos and doing whatever. Get up early. Get on social media. Do your 5, 5, and 5, which is 5 phone calls, 5 handwritten cards, and 5 messages every day. Get those out. It could be past clients, previous clients, current clients. If it's their birthday or something, monitor everybody's activities when their birthdays are, when their anniversaries are, and such, and reach out, because that really does make a difference. That you've taken time out of your day to connect with them on their birthday or anniversary, their homeversary, their 1-year anniversary. Make sure you're calling and sending a card, because it's big. Big. And then you can always ask, always walk away with an ask. Do you or somebody looking to buy or sell a home within the next 6 to 12 months? Wow. Don't ask right now. 6 to 12 months doesn't put pressure on them. If you're like, you want to move now, they're like, no. 6 to 12 months, anybody? Well, we're thinking maybe next year, and start that process and get in front of them. Call people, contact them, ask them for help. That's a great way to stay in the business too, is reach out to people on your Facebook and stuff. If you're growing your business, or you're saying, hey, listen, I know you're great in business or whatever they do, I'd love to pick your brain about blank, and ask them a question. Start asking questions, ask for their help. I know you're great in business, and I know you do a lot of marketing. I'm looking for some tips on marketing. Would that be something you could share with me or help me with? And you'll find that people love helping people. People don't like getting help. I think that's the bigger problem, is us asking for help. I think is more challenging than getting the help. I think that's the key. And time block, and use your phone a lot, and get on social media, and do a skills assessment, and make sure you're with the right brokerage. As we're wrapping this all up, it seems like we're in a hurry to end it up with a lot of information, so I apologize. But feel to reach out to us, Kevin, at ourcommunityagent.com. We can send you some of those skills assessments, time blocking calendars, secrets for success. And we have scented markers we can send as well.
That's right.
And that's it. That's it.
That's right.
It's
good stuff. Touch base with greatness is the key. If you don't want to be part of that 10% exodus, there's somebody in your office that has been through this before, who's got 10, 20, 30 years of experience or more, that can give you some key ideas to get through it. And don't think that they struggled too.
Oh, absolutely.
They struggled too when they were new in your shoes, and they give you some tips on how to get through that struggle.
And most agents are willing to share what they're doing or how to get started or what to do to be successful. Don't be afraid to ask for that help. Get involved with your local board. Get involved with Illinois Realtors, National Association of Realtors. That's really where you find out what's going on in the industry and how you can be your best.
That's it.
Be blessed. Be your best. Happy Freedom Friday.
Break the chains, baby.
That's right. Break the chains that bind you. Yeah.